All right, hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in for another Authors Impact Hub podcast. We have been going really strong with our author Q&As. I've had some amazing authors in the community come on and share their journeys, talk about their books and future projects that they're working on. I am your host, Juanita Woodson, and tonight I have one of the amazing authors from our community on with us this evening, Author Smith. We are going to talk about his book, poetry, life, all the things. So I always let the authors do their own introductions. So author, you have the floor.
Okay. Well, hello, and thank you for this opportunity. I really greatly appreciate it. My name is Arthur Smith. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. You see, I have an amazing wife. I have two wonderful kids that are the bright light in my life. Um, I'm a writer who happens to write poetry, and I've actually released my book Layers in 2022. So it's been out for about 2 years, but really just trying to get that to work and move towards like future works.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, so you mentioned your wife and your kids. So how much have they inspired your writing?
They are major inspirations and muses for me. With a lot of pieces, I really kind of incorporate them, even if it doesn't show them specifically, but they are behind a lot of the pieces that I actually write. So they're very important to me and the work that I do.
Yes, I love that. Family is so important and they play a major part in what we do, even like behind the scenes, being our biggest supporters and
Well,
advocates. So I love that.
yes,
Yeah.
very supportive.
Yes, awesome. So what inspired you to write your book Layers? And then is this your first book or do you have other books that you've published as well?
So this Layers is my very first book that I've released. Um, Layers is really kind of funny because I never actually set out to write that book specifically. It's really honestly a collection of writings. I started writing in 2020, I'm sorry, 2001. So it's a collection of the work that I've built in that time. I think the urgency of me putting that out then is my brother passed away in December 25th, 2020.
Okay.
And I'm like, it makes everything so relevant to you. So I'm like, I need to go ahead and put something out there so I can leave something for my wife, for my children, or for others to know that, hey, I was here, I made a difference, I was able to create some type of impact. So um, that's what kind of pushed me to put layers out at that time. But it's like I said, it's really just a collection just to show the versatility in a few of the different lenses that I write from.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sorry to hear about your brother. I can definitely understand that process as well and how sometimes grief for some people it can turn you in different directions, right?
Yeah.
So your grief it caused you to create because you want to leave an impact.
Yes.
And honestly, it's like almost the same experience. So I lost both of my brothers within the last 2 years. They were twins. And I want to leave a legacy, right? This
Yes.
almost the same reason. I want to make sure that when I'm no longer here, my family knows like, hey, this was her imprint. I'm always gonna be here in word or in impact. So I love that you said that. That definitely inspired me.
Yes, ma'am. My condolences to you as well.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely. So can you share a little bit about how your faith, right? How does your faith influence the topics that you write about?
Um, so my faith is actually what got me writing. I was in college and I came home in 2001. And at that point, I felt like I was in the process of losing my mind just
Mhm.
because I'm a severe introvert. So I don't really talk to people or open up to people. So
Oh,
everything that I carry from birth all the way up to by age 21, still stuck inside of me. So when I came home, I'm like, God, I need you to give me a way to release what I have inside of me to make sure that I just don't explode.
yeah.
And writing happened to be the way that he did that. So honestly, I never took the traditional approach to writing, especially poetry. I never sought out to write poetry. I'm just like, God, let me get it out. and it happened to be poetry. It happened to be one of the things that I just wrote over and over and over again. Um, so between that and I think I don't think I know when I write, I play heavily on the concept of God, the creation of man, and then just the relationship between God and man and woman, then human to human. So I
Okay.
like to play on those godly themes and speak to it in like a almost like a parable in an earthly manner. You know, so
Yeah. Okay. So your faith has a major impact. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. And so I have read some of your poetry and I love the way that you use your words. I always say that to poets. I think that you have like a unique way of being able to express yourself that other people don't. So I love poetry and I love when guys can get their thoughts out and maybe use the form of poetry to do that. So what's one thing that you would maybe say to like a young man or older man that's struggling with expressing themselves and getting all of those thoughts out of their head?
I think the first thing I would say to them is that it's okay to feel. Um, because as a man, we're always told, don't cry, be tough, be strong. And we do that for the most part, but we're no different than anybody else. Things impact us. So in order to kind of heal or move towards healing, you got to process that. So whether it's with your spoken word, written word, whatever, don't be afraid to put it out there in whatever form you do. Um, and I would say, take away the burden of care. Don't care what
Okay.
anybody else thinks about what you write or about what you're saying because at the end of the day, on one hand you're writing to like free yourself, but then secondly, God has a way of using what you write to free others as well. And so just take the limits off, and just be free to express yourself however God shows you how to express it.
Yes, definitely. Because if it's him showing you how to express it, it's not wrong.
Right.
Right. So I love that. And your writing is not just for you if you've been given that gift by God. Somebody needs it in some way. So
Yes.
I appreciate that. So how have you been able to balance? I know you mentioned that you're an introvert. A lot of people can relate to that. When you write a book, it makes you kind of come to the forefront a little bit, especially if you like want to market your book and see a profit. How have you been able to balance like the introvertness and the marketing aspect?
I've been saying lately that I'm an extreme introvert, but I'm always positioned to do extroverted things.
Okay.
So while doing that, it's very uncomfortable because it's out of my comfort zone, but it's also necessary to see the growth that I'm looking for,
Yeah.
to make the impact that I'm looking for. Because, like we said earlier, the words are for me, but the words also help other people heal or understand or process or whatever. So I got to step out of the way. I got to decrease and let God increase in me and let Him in the forefront to push me out there to do what He's called me to do.
Yes, definitely. I love that. And great things happen outside of our comfort zone, right?
Really, yes, ma'am.
And you get to inspire other people, inspire young men, older men to be able to like get their thoughts out on paper, even if they decide not to publish, but it's good to still just be able to get it out so that you can like move forward in life sometimes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So what message is it that you hope readers can walk away with after reading your books and your poetry?
So for layers specifically, I think the main message is that um, you can have very different opinions on one central topic. So we can't, it's not like we see one thing and just think one way and that's what it is. You can feel a bunch of different ways because we do truly have layers. Um, so again, it's to let people know that you can feel, you can have opposing opinions, and that still be okay. But overall, the overall topic of layers and anything I write is really just love and oneness. Being connected because we're all in this world together.
Yes, definitely. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about like your writing process. So I know you mentioned that you started writing in 2001, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So when it came to like, okay, I'm going to publish the book, what was that moment that it clicked for you? Like, I need to get this book out there.
Uh, and again, I put it back to like the passing of my brother because when death comes, you realize that time is really not on our side. And so again, I've been writing since 2001, and I'm just holding all this material. Um, so I'm like, there's no better time than to get it out than right now. Um, so that was really the push and the urgency for it. And ironically, because I have so much material, I had planned on having probably about three, four, or five more books out from
Yeah,
2022 to now. But Layers is the only one. And I think God kind of slowed the process down because it's like you said, what good is it to flood the market with books if you're not doing the work to actually market the books?
yeah.
So I could have a library of books out there, but if nobody knows about me or what I'm doing, if I'm not uh, promoting the marketing, the books won't go anywhere. So yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's great that you're able to like have that self-reflection and know like, okay, let me focus on marketing this book first. So then when book two and three come and even more, you've already like laid the foundation to know how to proceed with marketing those books efficiently,
yeah.
right?
And
So
your
what
group has helped me out with that. So again, I thank
okay.
you.
Oh, and I appreciate that. That's what it's here for. Definitely, I want to make sure that authors are able to make an impact. And I know sometimes people don't write a book because they want to become bestsellers, but there's a pretty large community of us who want to be able to see at least a return on our investment, right? That
Absolutely.
we've put into it. So it's important for us to be able to share like our challenges. So speaking of challenges, like were there any that you faced with writing and publishing your book?
The biggest challenge I faced was trying to find an actual publisher that I wanted to use. Um, in part because I don't really trust a lot of people, so I got to put my faith in them to bring to life what God has given me. The
Okay.
secondly, it's always a budget issue. You try to find which publisher is going to be the most economically feasible for you. So once I was able to find a publisher, I was like, okay, let me go ahead and just jump out there and see how this goes. And it was a same almost a seamless process. Um, I think now I want to learn how to actually physically publish for myself so I can cut out
Yeah,
essentially the middleman, but also so that I can help others. Because I know, publishing a book can be very costly. So
yeah,
if I can figure out how to do it and then try to bring them fees down to where I can be a blessing to others as they get their works out there, that would be the ultimate joy for me.
yes, definitely. I love that. So you're already like breaking out of the introvertness a little bit because you want to be able to help other people to get their words out there too. So that's always a blessing, right? So
Yes,
I know that you hosted a book fair
I did.
in your
Yes.
town. So how did that come about? And then how was it for you?
So I was part of one back in February of this year, and it's my first time ever doing it. And it was just a great experience. And my pastor was actually there. He was like, you know what? I think we should do this at our church, but I would
Yeah.
like you to spearhead it. So he gave me the green light to do that. We ended up having 12 authors to participate. And it was a great experience. And so the way that we do it, it's not a traditional book fair to where people just set up and customers or readers come through and just walk through and just purchase. We actually have them sit down and we have each author give up and give just a little snippet about themselves in their book so that people can become invested in what the author has. And so I think a lot of times when you hear the artists speak about their work, that piques your interest more to like, hey, I wasn't even thinking about getting that, but now they said this and I can connect with that. I'm gonna go ahead and support. And so, like I said, we had 12 authors. And it turned out great. We had several authors that actually sold out of the books that they brought, made a lot of connections, and it's something that I'm looking to put on probably twice a year. hopefully starting next year.
Awesome. Yes, I love that. And I know a few authors in Indiana.
Okay.
So I'll make sure once you're posting it that I send them your information so that they can come out and connect with you. I think that would be a great way to just
Yeah.
continue building your community and helping other people to get their words out and get visibility with their books too. So I always love to see that.
Yeah. No, I
So
appreciate that. Thank you.
yes, of course. And then what's one piece of advice, if you can give one to somebody who is thinking about writing a book and they're not sure like what that first step is for them, what's one piece of advice you would give to them?
First off, in everything, always pray to seek direction. And then really is just write. Even if it doesn't come, because a lot of times when you write, it doesn't come like from start to finish. You get a snippet here, a snippet there, another snippet, then you got to piece it together. So
Right.
just write down what comes when it comes. And then when it's time to analyze and put together, go ahead and trust your process in doing that. Um, the other thing is, especially once you move to the publishing phase, definitely get your editor to make sure um, that there's minimal mistakes or close to no mistakes, because we'll read our work and be like, you know what it says, so you can almost hear it automatically. So one trick that I use is I'll type it up in Word, but I'll have Word read it back to me as a form for me to edit. But I always get another set of eyes or two more sets of eyes to kind of go through, proofread, and make sure that it's actually spelled correctly. You have the right words, so you're not using the wrong version of there or something like that, or you're not
Right.
missing the word. Just to kind of make sure that, because you never have a second chance to do a first impression. So if you put out a book and it's not together, most people won't come back to read your work again. So um, just make sure you have all things in order.
Yes, that's very important. And honestly, like an editor is the biggest bulk of your publishing when you're going through the process. Very important. But one thing that I have learned over time, so I've been recently like promoting my first book, right? And
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't know if I want people to go and read that one because that's my book baby. Like that's how I started. I'm telling my testimony. Um, but that's one thing that I needed. Like invest in an editor. Like don't try to do it yourself. And you said something important, getting Word to read it back to you. And I think a lot of the times if we just hear it and you hear the way that it sounds, you'd be like, okay, that's
Mhm.
not right. Something
Yeah.
is missing there. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Definitely. So you've been writing for quite some time. So do you think
Mhm.
that your writing has evolved over time?
It's definitely evolved over time, especially in poetry, or more specifically. In the beginning, all I could ever write was about love, just like love, 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 love. And so I'm like, it has to be something more. Can I do something a little bit deeper, which there's depth and love? But I'm like, I used to try to write political pieces and things like that, and it never really flowed and never came out right. Um, but then there was a shift um, back when Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown, when all that happened, they kind of flipped a switch in me because I've always had a revolutionary type mind, but I was actually able to find the words then.
Okay.
So from that all the way up to George Floyd is like, okay, I think I can do this now. So in layers, you'll see a lot of pieces that deal with like activism and just like current affairs and things along those lines. And the funny thing is, I got so deep into writing that I'm like, I want to get back to writing love. And so now that's the struggle. How do I get back to what I was doing so I could find a balance in
Okay.
what I do? Yeah.
I see. Okay. So you're multidimensional. So that's okay. So you're
Yeah.
able to switch. It's just like finding that spark of inspiration.
Yeah.
So like one piece of advice I would say is just like you has just write. Even if it doesn't flow, it doesn't sound good, just right. You first mentioned when we started like your family. So the inspiration is there. It's just I understand the society that we're in right now. the things are still happening. So it probably still weighs heavy on your mind and in your heart. So when you pick up the pen, that's probably like what you're thinking about. So
Yeah.
I can understand. I sometimes get what is called the writer's block. And I'm
Yeah,
just like, I don't know. I know there's so much that I need to get out. I don't know what to write right now, but I just write whatever is in there, doing those brain dumps. It helps tremendously.
it does. Yes.
Yes. Yes. So is there any new projects that you're working on that you're able to let us know to look out for?
So I'm about to, within the next couple of weeks, send off my second book to be copywritten, um, which is going to be called Dig Deeper,
Okay.
which Dig Deeper is the last poem that's in layers. And I put that there specifically to give the people or the readers a preview of what's to come.
Yeah.
So my goal is to have that actually out and published by first quarter of next year. But first, I got to go send it to get copywritten and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll be on the lookout for that. And if you haven't already picked up layers, you have time to read the
Yeah.
last poem before the new book comes out. So yes. So I always, and then if you can, before we get to our last question, if you can just share with us, how can we connect with you on social media?
Mhm.
How can we order your books? Where are they available? Where is it available?
So you can connect with me on social media on all platforms. Arthur Author, Arthur Arthur, the number two. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that. I'm there. Threads. My website is actually the same thing, arthur2.com. So you can order layers there. On that website, you'll also find blog posts that I have that I write from time to time. Uh, Update statuses of what I'm doing. So again, you can get layers there. You can also go to Amazon, any online bookstore, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million. I'm there, Arthur Smith, layers. So I'm everywhere.
Yes, awesome. And as you were like reading your social media, I was like, it was destined for you to be an author. It's in your name.
Yeah,
So
it's
it
it's
was.
a tongue twister saying Arthur, but yes,
Yes, it
that's
was meant to happen. Yes, I love that. Well,
yeah.
I definitely appreciate you being on. So if you have watched the episodes, then you know I always end with one question, and that is, what impact do you want your book and your author brand to make on the world?
Uh, I think overall, Frankie Beverly said it best. We are one. Um, and so no matter what angle of relationship we're talking about, we're all equally connected and we're impacted by what other people do. So um, just love and take care of your brother, your sister, and just be kind overall.
Yes, yes, I love that. And I think that your brand, your light, the way that you're showing up with your words and stepping out of your comfort zone and breaking out of that introvertness is definitely gonna bring people together to be able to do that. I definitely appreciate you joining this evening. I know it won't be the last time because you have another book coming out.
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll have to get you on for the next book. But in the meantime, listeners, definitely make sure that you go connect with author on social media, purchase a copy of his book, and then stay tuned for the new project that he'll be releasing in 2025. And as always, make sure that you like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment for our episode this evening. Take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.